Hello and welcome to the Berkcast, the How to Train Dragon podcast. I'm your host, HC, and with me are.
Rush 2112.
And Wolf.
And today we are doing another character episode. It's been a while since the last one. And we have a new character to talk about. We, of course, talking about the latest villain and the last villain of this franchise. At least the hiccup side of this franchise. Grimmel the Grizzly. Who's the main villain of How to Train Dragon: The Hidden World, and probably split the fan base even more than the franchise already did. So, with that said, what do you guys think about Grimmel?
He's a nerd.
Yeah,
Very insightful thoughts. Very insightful. He's a nerd. Good. That was all for this episode of the Berkcast. We hope you enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that we will probably touch more about this but later. But people have made the claims that he's kind of like a discount Vigo, and honestly, I feared that this was going to happen. I was very skeptical when early descriptions presented them as Hiccup meets his match, and it's like, yeah, that's Vigo. But I think despite this simplification of him, he does have a lot that makes him more interested in his own way and make him stand on his own in terms of a villain and as a character. And overall, I did enjoy him. I enjoyed him a lot more than Drago, and he has his qualities about him that I like. There are some parts I do have my parts where I'm a bit with him, but we'll get to those later. But overall, I'm on the defending side of him. What about you guys?
that's fair. I think I didn't hate him. I don't hate him. I think he's all right. But I mean, I can definitely see why people think he's a weaker villain. And he definitely. I don't feel he. I would say none of the movies have really had strong villains. Drago was okay as well, and then the first movie had, I guess, the Red Death / Stoic / however you want to look at that. And I think the first movie's villain of the idea of the opposition to change, like that being the villain, I think that was probably the best villain we've gotten out of the movies, because that was an actual opposition to Hiccup. Grimmel and Drago, I don't know, they just don't feel like they stand out, but they don't feel like they stand out to me in the best possible ways. I look at villains from the show and they really stand out. Like you can, Dagger, Vigo, Johan even, and Mildew, are all villains and Alvin as well, are all villains that feel like they stand out in fairly unique ways, and they are all fairly unique from one another, even though they're all more or less kind of going after the same thing. So,
Now you see you lost me at Mildew, but okay, fair enough.
But I mean, but I mean that's the point though. Even Mildew, he does have a very unique style of what he wants and what he's going for and everything, right? His entire goal is get the dragons back off of Berk, and that slowly changes over time throughout that first season. Grimmel, yeah, he stands out as a unique design, but as a character, I don't feel like he's very memorable in that regard.
Well, I think that yeah, you have a point. You kind of have a point. Rush, what are your thoughts on Grimmel?
As a character, I think we all agree that he's kind of like a side quest. But
yeah, basically.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed how he was portrayed. like his mannerisms, and I think the voice acting went
Mm.
very well with his design and his character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I think it's one of those cases that visual, the technical stuff around him is excellent. Like we said, his design, his voice, and everything, that's great. But when it comes to the plot in general, he doesn't really do much aside of being in opposition, which I could tell them we're not trying to do, because he has the thing where he basically killed the entire Night Fury race single-handedly. Like, movies words, not mine. So he has this big thing about him, but at the same time, kind of like with Drago, we get that there's more to this guy, because you get Drago in the second movie going, I know, like, I saw my entire village and family taken away from me. It's like, okay, can we see that? No, okay. And then Grimmel also comes, and it's like, unlike you, and Grimmel also has this thing that he's like an evil mirror of Hiccup. Think Batman and the Joker, like that. They're basically the same nut job, but one's evil and one's good, and it's like, why can't I see that?
I think, right, the big difference between Drago and Grimmel is Drago really, like, minus all of the, silly, kind of silly yelling stuff and all of that, like, he does do a lot in that movie. Like, he ends up, being, the reason of Stoics, being one of the main reasons for Stoics' death. He, has the other Bewilderbeast killed, Omelette killed. He has, he attacks Berk. Grimmel, for all that he is, for all that he's supposedly done, in the movie, we don't really see him specifically doing a lot, I feel. He does stuff, but it never feels like he does anything that's really, like, that really sets him apart from what we've seen before.
That also kind of connects to what we said last week with the deleted scenes, that if Grimmel actually destroyed Berk, not just set it on fire, there was a meeting, the Berkians left. If he actually destroyed Berk, there might have been more to him.
This is true. Like, if we had seen Berk on fire, we'd seen him standing there and kind of looking at the destroyed ruins of all of that and everything while it's on fire, it definitely probably would have added more, I guess you'd say, gravitas to him and what he had going for him and behind him. But as it stands, it feels like, yeah, he attacks them, yeah, he captures Toothless at some point, but it just feels like we've kind of seen that before, so it's like you've not really done anything new that someone else already hasn't done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, he has, but I will say I do like his idea of using the dragon's venom to mind control them. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, sure. Like, he has a few things that make him stand out. That's very different from what we've seen before, but it just doesn't make it feel like he stands out more than what we've seen other villains stand out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we kind of pointed out general thoughts about Vigo. Oh my god, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. No, I didn't say that.
Wow, episode ruined.
Well, favorite moments about Grimmel?
Favorite and least favorite. About Vigo, you mean?
No.
No. I think you do mean.
I didn't mean it. Oh my god, something, this doesn't do Grimmel any favors that I just made that mistake. But
not if you're supposed to be defending him.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a non-biased neutral episode, so...
So you say.
Is it now? We've already made our opinions very, very public on what we think of him.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, favorite moments?
You start us off.
Oh, I start. Okay. I was about to say, pick a certain scene, but I figured one of you guys would probably pick it, so I chose something else. My favorite Grimmel moment is after the Berkians leave, and he's talking to the other hunters on the old Berk, and he actually tells them, and they ask him, "You let the Night Fury escape again?" He's like, "I encouraged it. I introduced him to your female," and then he starts actually telling them where they're going to go, and it's like, okay, Night Furies can survive in the cold, so they didn't go north. They want to keep distance between them and the enemies, so they didn't go east and west. And that's where you can see his hunting skills in action, where he's actually strategizing like that, and you can get, okay, this guy plays 10 moves ahead of the competition in a sense. And and then you can also see how animated, because when he asks them, yeah, when is it, like when he asks the hunters, what's your sense of the hunt, and when he like teases them, anyone want to take a guess where they went, and then at the end he's also like, oh, how I miss this. You can tell he's a psychopath that enjoys being a psychopath, and I like that. I like someone who I like a villain who likes being evil.
As long as he admits he likes being a psychopath, that's fine.
Okay, one way of putting it, but not the way
I guess I'll go next. I really enjoyed I think a standout scene for me was, and I think this was a standout scene for many people, was seeing Grimmel inside of Hiccup's home, seeing him come to birth.
You see, that was the scene I wanted to pick, but I knew somebody else would. So
it was either that or the first time we see Grimmel in the movie when he shoots that one dragon and knocks it out cold, or kills it. We don't really know what he does to it when he first meets the warlords. But yeah, I really liked the scene with with him being in Hiccup's home, with him coming there and conversing with Hiccup. With Hiccup.
With who?
I don't know.
Okay, unless I made a mistake with a character from the franchise. You just made a new character up instead of our hero, Wolf.
English. I don't speak it. Anyways, yeah, I really enjoyed that scene because that's one of those moments where I feel like, that is wholly Grimmel, it feels like this is that character, right? Because I don't feel like there's another character who could do something like that we've seen villain-wise and pull it off in a similar manner. I know many people might say Vigo, but it just doesn't feel like Vigo to do something like that. It feels very
but also Grimmel. Yeah, if I may credit another thing about this thing, in context to Vigo, that Grimmel also has a good sense of humor about this. So I just like how he sits in like he comes and it's like, oh no, please just let me finish my drink, and then he also refers to Hiccup as Chief Hiccup or Chief Hiccup, and you don't see Vigo do these kind of things. Like if Vigo did this, it will be out of character.
Yeah, Vigo's much more serious. Like this character feels a bit more fun, I guess you would say. And that's not to say, again, that's not saying Vigo isn't fun. It's just saying that this character kind of revels in the humor of the situations that he finds himself in sometimes.
Yeah, like again, he's a psychopath and he enjoys.
Yeah.
Anyway, I cut you off. Continue to say why this scene is so great that I had to choose another scene instead of it, because I knew you would pick it.
I mean that's pretty much it. Like it's very much, this scene feels very Grimmel to me. Like this feels like this is this character, and I think that's a scene that I would like to say is my favorite because it really sets him up fairly well in the movie, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rush, what about you?
When he died.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Silent like the whole time, and there it is.
I like how the way he screamed no, and the splash his body made. Actually, something, we actually saw the body hit the water this time.
Oh man, I can't believe. Anyway, let's see. So, I think for me, it would probably be the scene where he traps them in the room with the whatever those dragons are called. Since all the others were taken.
You mean the scene with the riders in first base?
Can you repeat that?
The scene. Go ahead.
The scene where the riders infiltrate his base and.
Yes.
Okay.
He knew, man. He knew they were coming.
Yeah, he knew they were coming and he was ready. Also, on that note, once they escape and he just finds out that Ruffnut is there, his reaction is exactly the same reaction as two of my friends when they first watched the movie. Like they all literally made the same face. It was glorious. But yeah, so we talked about our favorite Grimmel moments. Now we have the least favorite. So what is your least favorite Grimmel moment? Considering the fact that Rush said when he dies, I'm assuming every minute he's alive.
Fair enough.
How dare you? How dare you steal my joke? It wasn't even that funny.
Well, you know what they say.
I don't. But continue.
You're too slow. That's it. Joke done. But
you know what else they say? Gotta go fast.
Yeah, I know. I was faster than you on that joke. But anyway, references aside, least favorite Grimmel moment.
You know, it might be because I've not seen the movie that many times yet, but I feel like there's not that many moments for Grimmel that really stand out as, okay, this was terrible, or this was bad for him. Like as much as I sit here and say that I don't necessarily like him as much as other villains we've seen, I don't feel in the movie that he really has a. I feel like he's fairly consistent quality-wise throughout the movie. Like all of his scenes don't feel like they, tip the scale and. Okay, this is terrible. Or, okay, this is amazing. So,
fair enough. I
don't know if I can really say I have a terrible moment right off the bat. Maybe that'll change in the future, but as of right now, I don't feel like there's anything that stands out in my mind as, okay, yeah, this is the one I liked the least.
Rush, what do you say?
I see everything. But anyway, for me, my least favorite moment. Yeah, I'm on kind of Wolf's train. I haven't seen enough to really get any like. Usually, when I go in to see a movie, I don't look for the bad things. It's on my second viewing, which hasn't happened yet. So I can't really say I've looked for any bad things. But I do have to say I really hate that hoodie he puts on. Like why?
Okay.
Assassin's Creed, though, Rush. Assassin's Creed Grimmel.
But he looks like he's so pale in his weird lips, dude. Like the most out of place character in the How to Train Your Dragon universe.
It's because he's Assassin's Creed.
He looks like something else. I'll tell you that.
You know something? Assassin's Creed did pirates. It did a lot of time. Maybe they can do Assassin's Creed Vikings.
They should.
Ubisoft, give me a call. Maybe we can do a Rayman game afterwards. But so his suit with the hoodie. That's interesting. Again, like you said, nothing big, nothing too negative about him. But I will say again, I already kind of mentioned this. His backstory pisses me off because on the one hand, I love it. I love the fact that this is what could have been a hiccup if he went on and killed Toothless when he saw him. That's great. But would it really kill anyone to flashback once just so we could see this, or maybe started off that like maybe he looked like Hiccup when he was younger, and actually starting this off with the same scene that but he actually kills him, and then we cut to Hiccup and Toothless in the future and stuff. Just show me this. I want to see this. Can I see this?
And see, there's a good balance between a simple flashback that just shows exactly what he just said, and giving backstory in the flashback. So, while I agree with you saying we need more flashbacks, but just showing that one instance of him killing, and then him talking about it, no matter where the placement is, it just seems odd. And maybe if it was like the beginning of the movie where it's like it shows him a little kid walking up on a Night Fury and killing it, and then we cut to what the current day is, and then we finally meet Grimmel and he talks about it, that might be good, but there's a lot of like things about that just need to be perfect in order for it to make sense.
Yeah, that actually would be good setup, especially if you did it like at the beginning of the movie and you made it look like it was Hiccup that had done that, and then you
that's what I'm saying.
Switch it like go take what Rush just said, where you see a little kid walking up, you see a younger kid walking up on a Night Fury and killing it, and then we cut to Hiccup, and we don't really get to see what the little kid looks like exactly, and then we cut to Hiccup later, and you kind of leave this idea in the audience's head that, wait, what's going on there? And then we finally get to see Grimmel, and you get to see maybe a bit more of that flashback.
I know, I'm a genius.
You are. You absolutely are.
Yeah. Because there's this in filmmaking. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's called show don't tell. So for a franchise that excelled at this, why can't I see that? Maybe it's a nitpick, but it's a gripe I had.
I assume, right? Like they had so many like they had what, 2-3 flashbacks in this movie already?
Two.
You are getting a little bit much on the flashbacks if you go for 3 or more. Like at that point, it can start to feel like, why didn't we get the prequel movie, since that's apparently what you're wanting to tell us anyways, and then move into this movie,
Mm-hmm.
So there is a balance there that you have to achieve. Like, how much do you show, and how much do you like relegate to having an offhanded comment being what you tell the audience what they need to know? Because if you show too much, then your movie ends up being too long, or if you show too much backstory, then people are going to be like, okay, why didn't I just get that movie, since that's the movie you want to tell me anyways? It's a very fine balance you have to figure out. And it's a balance that even if you think you get it right, you probably still got it wrong for some people. It's just, how many people did you get it wrong for, and is that enough to hurt your movie overall?
Fair enough. Still pissed about it, but fair enough.
That's fair.
Okay. With that said, so, we kind of alluded to Grimmel having a reputation of being a weaker Vigo, as some hosts in this podcast clearly showed us. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about this claim?
He's super skinny. Of course, he's weak.
One way to look at it.
Did you see Vigo? That dude's ripped.
Oh yeah.
So what you're saying is that if these two would ever get into a fist fight in Valhalla, one would clearly beat the other.
Yep. Vigo would definitely win.
You even lift, bro?
But look.
You're welcome.
Looking at this though, I think we saw Grimmel do a lot more acrobatics than Vigo. Thank you. Thank you for inciting me on this.
Vigo don't again. Vigo don't need to jump around. He got people to jump around for him. He's a businessman.
Yeah.
So that's his excuse.
Here's some money. Jump for me. Go.
Yeah, I can see. For some reason, I really want to see Vigo paying like random dudes to replace him in something like the Olympics. It's like, I need to jump. Here's money. Jump for me.
Again, Vigo wouldn't participate in the Olympics. He would just hire a team that does.
Mm-hmm.
He would own the team that participates in the Olympics, or he would own the Olympics. He's a businessman.
So what you're saying is that Vigo would go on to he apparently survived again, and he went on to be the head of Walt Disney Studios because he literally buys everything.
Have you seen this guy? He plans moves that are like 50 plans ahead of everything else, and that somehow still work out, all exactly according to plan.
He is truly evil, so he does have a place at the top of Disney.
This is also true.
Okay, something, I think we finished with this entire category of the script by talking about Vigo and not Grimmel, the topic of
Vigo's buff arms. Portrait of Vigo as a buff man.
Now I have this picture in my head. Oh god.
Grimmel's head, Vigo's body.
No.
Or vice versa, if you want it different. Vigo's head, Grimmel's body.
Grimmel's body. You look like a bobblehead.
Vigo's head, Grimmel's body wearing the hood. There you go.
No, something, I think just summed up the pitch meeting for the pop figures. How pop figures became a thing. Vigo's head, Grimmel's body. There you go.
You're welcome.
Oh my god. So there you go. For the pop figures. Somebody photoshopped Vigo's head on Grimmel's body. Before Grimmel was even a thing, mind you. Speechless, as you can see. We are trying to phantom the fact that we came up with something so mind-blowing. But, yeah, so to go back to the original point, Grimmel being a weaker Vigo, and not weak in this sense, please. So what do you think about that? A bit of a comparison. We kind of talked about this, but what do you think? Is Grimmel a weaker Vigo, or is Vigo a weaker Grimmel? What do you think?
I would say they do stand apart somewhat. I don't think Grimmel is an inherently weaker Vigo, but I do think he's a weaker villain, right? I do think there's a distinction there to be made. I do think he is his own character. I do think he can, and I do think he can stand apart. But I do also think that Vigo stands a lot stronger than Grimmel does as of right now. I think something I'll bring up, since we're kind of in this topic a little bit, I feel that thinking about it and kind of talking about it as of right now and kind of recollecting a lot of things about Grimmel, for all that he, comes off, for all that he talks about being the hunter and being ahead of, the prey and stuff like that, throughout the movie we see him being somewhat reactive to what's going on instead of active, Grimmel reacts to the Vikings leaving Berk. Grimmel reacts to Hiccup and co, infiltrating his base. Sure, he says, "Oh, I knew you were coming. Oh, I knew this was what you had planned because I went to your house and scared you off of Berk. This is why all this had happened." But the movie sets it up in a way where it feels like he's reacting to their decisions and not... It doesn't feel like, it was some master plan. He says it is, but it doesn't seem that way. It doesn't look that way. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like he's just reacting to what they're doing and then following suit accordingly. Whereas Vigo, Vigo did feel like he had the upper hand. Like it felt like, Hiccup had to react to him and what he was doing from time to time. Yeah, sure, we had scenes and moments of Vigo reacting to what Hiccup was doing, but at the same time, it did go back and forth. There was moments where Hiccup reacted to what Vigo did, and Vigo reacted to what Hiccup did, and vice, and all of that. for again, and like going back to Grimmel, it just doesn't feel like that's the case.
Mhm.
And it seems like
Rush,
he's a villain that's supposed to not be that way. There's my take.
Rush. Okay, Rush. What do you have to say?
There's just the different types of what they're doing, because I'll argue this forever that Vigo was always a businessman, and he was only a villain because of the perspective of Hiccup. Granted, he did have some shady business tactics, but he was just trying to make a living. For Grimmel, he actively hunted down from the beginning, because Hiccup had a Night Fury, he actively hunted down. Vigo could have gone his whole life without caring about whether Hiccup had the Night Fury or not. Allegedly. He probably would have, because Night Fury's high price, but Grimmel made it his raison d'etre to torment and eventually kill the Night Fury. So it's just two different things, and it's really hard to compare them.
Okay, I will jumping off of what you said though. There, you have something. What I'm focusing on is that Vigo is a businessman, and for that, there's also the scene that we love so much, where he actually offers Hiccup some sort of a way to compromise. He tells them, "Okay, you keep away from this side, I'll keep away from this side, and we can go on our merry way." Which Hiccup doesn't agree with, and everything, and also, as we all know, Vigo does turn to the good side at one point. Grimmel does none of those things. So, in my opinion, Grimmel is a better villain because of this, because he actually sticks to his target, and he doesn't compromise just for the sake of getting a small just to getting a small annoyance out of the way. If there's an obstacle in his way, he'll take on that obstacle. And when he finds out that there's another Night Fury and there's this chief who protects him, he's going to make this chief's life live in hell in order to get to the Night Fury. Fair enough. So in terms of being a villain, I'll give the point to Grimmel. However, as a character, Vigo is a better character because in my opinion, there's a lot more around him. We see him think more, we see him act more, we see him in different situations, which granted could be because, Vigo is from a TV show and you can do a lot more with it. Grimmel is in a movie. So, with Vigo we had basically 5 seasons of him, where with on enough episode appearances to actually develop his character and see him move, shift from a bad guy to a good guy, from a bad guy to a good guy, and with Grimmel we just had the hour and 40 something minutes that we need to establish him, know what he wants, and actually see him being defeated. So obviously Vigo
essentially you're proving my point that it's really hard to compare them because they're from different. Basically, a lot of things are different about them.
Yeah, not necessarily that. I'm just saying that, I can talk all I want about how Grimmel is a better villain, while Vigo is a better character, but at the same time, it's also unfair because one character has the edge of being more developed. So, I don't know what to tell you. Point is, we covered the situation. We'll probably do it more in the future, unless one of you has something to add.
No.
Okay, good. Moving on. So we are moving from one hunter to another. We know at one point Drago was supposed to be to come back as the villain of this movie. And at one point, it was supposed to be the villain of only this movie, only being hinted at in the second one. So, do you see any hints regarding the fact that it was supposed to be Drago in Grimmel's character? Like, can you look at this and say, "Oh yeah, I can see how this belonged to Drago at one point"?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
You didn't ask for details. You just asked, a yes or no question. The answer is yes.
Okay, so please, somebody elaborate. It's a podcast
I
after
think
all.
it's
It's
so.
That would anyway. I'll say that the idea of him killing all the Night Furies, I feel like that probably was a Drago thing at first at some point, and it kind of moved over to Grimmel. Also, I would say that we brought this up in our review of the third movie with Haddock, if I'm not mistaken, as well, and we talked about how, and if I'm not mistaken, Haddock brought up the idea of being able to see Drago in Grimmel and some of the things that kind of came over from that as well. And for me, I think one of them being, man, this is where not seeing the movie enough times yet hurts you, because I can't remember everything right offhand.
okay.
You go. Come back to me.
You go, Vigo. If Vigo, you go.
And then they say
What?
my jokes and puns are bad.
We do.
That was a callback from the TV show.
Okay, before you finish that sentence, I'm allowed to forget one joke.
If I wanted to finish that
one
sentence, I would have. There's a good 5 seconds between me stopping and you saying that.
Mhm.
Moving on.
Moving on. How can we? If we can see Drago and Vigo, I think yes, and I'll tell you exactly why. What's Grimmel's main thing? He killed all the Night Furies, right?
Wrong. He killed all but one.
Okay, aside of Toothless, aside of Toothless, who is awesome and will
They
live forever.
both drowned. That's what they have in common.
Mm-hmm.
Fair point as well.
Nerds.
Like we said, water is the kryptonite of How to Train a Dragon. That's unless they've been reformed, then in that case they're fine and will go on to marry someone at the end.
Even if they're being okay, go ahead.
Basically, the main idea here is that Grimmel killed all the Night Furies because I think we also talked about this before. At one point, this was supposed to be Drago. And what connection would you give Hiccup to the villain if the villain ever heard of it before that? So, seeing how Drago already knew who Hiccup was, because second movie ended up having him as the villain. We need someone new. We need someone to like carry the torch in a sense, because you can't have Drago there as the villain, as a new villain, as sort of saying now it's personal with Hiccup. So we need to have someone with the same who wants the same thing as Hiccup, which is the Night Fury. Therefore, I can see them just changing the name in the document file for this, and also you need to keep in mind that Grimmel is aware of Drago, because at the beginning, as he walks up to the hunter, he does tell them a year since Drago's defeat. So he is aware of Drago. He's aware of what they were doing. He just wanted nothing to do with this because he doesn't trap dragons. He kills them. That's all he cares about. So, so in that sense, if let's go to the original plan, which was to have Volk as the villain and just set Drago up. It makes sense that Drago would have been just this kind of guy who was on the side and killed the Night Furies, and it also kind of connects to a theory Wolf doesn't really like, which his cape is made out of natural skin. That was a thing that was running around the internet at one point. Yeah, but here's the thing: you say "bleh" because you have the second movie as it was.
This is true.
Under your belt.
If it was much different, if it was what it might have originally intended to be, it would have been very different. This is true. This is true. This is correct.
So in terms of his placement as a villain and how he comes to be in opposition to Hiccup, I can see how this was supposed to be Drago at one point, but in terms of the characteristics themselves, not so much. And because Drago isn't as sophisticated as Grimmel is. Grimmel is a lot smarter, a lot more cunning, and overall he thinks a lot more. If Drago was in charge, and you could make the argument that Drago would have been the same if he was the villain of this movie and not the second one. Someone could make that argument. We don't know. We never saw those original drafts. We only have the movies as they are now.
Give them to us, though, Dean, please. Let us see the original drafts.
More than the Mueller report.
That would actually be pretty cool, all things considered. But but going back to my point, I can see how this was supposed to be Drago at one point, considering what we know and considering theories that were running around. I can see this, but not without its changes. There are a few points where I say, yeah, Grimmel is different than Drago in this case, in terms of personality, in terms of planning as well. Actually, that's another thing. Drago's plan is to control all the dragons with the Bewilder Beast, the Alpha, and Grimmel controls all the dragons with the venom from the I forgot their names, the Silk Spinners. I think that's their name.
I think that was it. No, that's from
that's
book.
From the novels, the graphic novels.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay, so but basically, he has those dragons, which he uses their venom to control other dragons. We see them controlling the dragons themselves, and we also see him controlling the Light Fury at the end.
Death Grippers.
Death Grippers. There we go. So at the end of the day, they also use kind of similar techniques in order to get what they want. So that's another thing. So the point is, I can see it. I can see how this was supposed to be Drago at some point in development, but at the same time, Grimmel also Dean also did a good enough job to convince me Grimmel isn't just Drago 2.0.
Fair enough.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Your turn. Talk to me.
Already talked.
Yeah.
So that's it. Okay. Fair enough.
There's not really too much to add, I feel. I think you kind of covered it all.
For once, I'm still in all the worlds. But now that we've gone over this, how would you rank how high would you rank Grimmel among the other How to Train a Dragon villains?
I've been going first on a lot of these. You go first, Rush or HC.
Yeah, HC, you go first.
I went first pretty much for 90% of this episode.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Well, let's make it true now then. Well, I'll go first. Cowards. Anyway, I would put him at maybe number 4, maybe 3. I'm not sure. I'll say this: as much as I enjoy Mo as a character than Drago, I will put Drago above him as a villain because Drago, like Wolf said previously, Drago did do a lot more and impacted the world a lot more than Grimmel. So, and killings. He caused in some ways 2x death. He actually came to Berk and destroyed a lot of it. There's a lot. Drago did a lot more, and he also has a bigger. Yeah, there's also this thing that all the villains at the end connect to Drago more than they do Grimmel, because Grimmel knows who Drago is. Vigo knows who Drago is. Krogan knows who Drago is. So at the end of the Drago seems to be the net that connects all the villains together. So in that sense, he's below Drago. Now, regarding villains, I already said I'll put them above Vigo as a villain, and I'll probably put them above Krogan and Riker as well, because they're fine, but they don't have anything really special about them, except for Krogan killing that one dude. But now, would I say that Grimmel is better than Johan? You know what? I'm not sure how popular this opinion is going to be. Considering that, going back to a topic we had a long time ago, in his twisted mind, Grimmel is a hero because like he said, he killed the Night Fury he came across in the woods, and that made him a hero in his village. So he was encouraged, and he also kind of filled his own ego to kill the rest of the Night Furies. Therefore, he was doing something good in his head, and like we said, Johan just does it for the money. So in terms of motivation, yeah, I'll put Grimmel above Johan. Johan does get credit for being a lot sneakier and a lot more competent because Hiccup noticed that very very later on. So points for being sneaky here. But at the same time, I prefer Grimmel. I like the fact that Grimmel actually has some sort of a motivation. And as opposed to a lot of the villains here, he doesn't change his views. Like we talked about Vigo. Vigo is reformed. Grimmel isn't. So that's also a credit. So something. Yeah, I'll say below Drago, but above everybody else.
Fair enough.
Okay.
You want to go, Rush, or would you like me to?
I can go.
Okay.
So for me, I'd put him around 4 or 5. Vigo is definitely up there, number 1. And I mean, I'm not going to go over the same reasons for the first 3, but I definitely put him closer. I don't know if 4 or 5 is the middle, but around the middle, just because of, 1, I've only seen it once, so I can't really get a good opinion on his bad parts, and for what he's done, he's ranked pretty up there. The problem I have with it is that he's not the main focus of the story. So, just can't see myself saying he's the biggest villain that Hiccup has ever faced. So, that's it.
Okay. Fair enough. Wolf.
I think this list has probably changed so many times. I've probably said this list so many times now, and it's changed every single time I've said it.
Keep in mind, there's a good chance that say would change in a year from now or something.
This is true. I would say he's probably, as of right now, top 5. I would say Vigo, Drago, then probably Dagger, probably Mildew after that, and then Grimmel.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. You know something? I have a question for you. Please, in the name of all dragons in the world, in the name of the great Alpha Toothless, explain to me how Mildew is above Grimmel.
Mildew has an arc. Like you can
Okay.
clearly see, like again, like this isn't.
You're never gonna get a good answer out of him because Mildew is like one of his favorite characters.
Again, like I can't. It's an unfair comparison, more than likely, I'll admit, because Mildew has an entire season of a show, whereas Grimmel has the one movie and that's it. But Mildew does come off to me as better and more enjoyable because Mildew does have an arc to him. Like you can see him evolve throughout that season that he's in, and you can see where he starts off at and what he wants at the beginning and how that changes over time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I come back to it again. Mildew won.
Yeah, but then he didn't.
But he still won. Mildew got what he wanted. Even if it wasn't completely, finished and done, Mildew did get what he wanted. And the only reason he lost was not because of himself, but because of Alvin. Mildew would have won and had what he wanted for at least a little while and wouldn't have lost it in his own power. Like, Hiccup didn't beat Mildew. Alvin ruined things for Mildew.
I could say the same for Grimmel. He did get what he wanted. It's just, let's assume...
But he wanted to kill Toothless. No. Toothless is still alive.
He wanted to die?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He did get Toothless. However,
he caught Toothless. That's the thing that he says he didn't want to do.
Let me finish. Finish.
No,
you let me finish. Okay. Let's play a what if game, okay? Let's play a what if in which Hiccup never got out of the like Astrid never talked to Hiccup. Hiccup would still feel like a failure, and they never invaded Grimmel's armada. Grimmel won in this case. Just because Hiccup intervened, that's another story. And also, on that note, if Hiccup didn't intervene, Grimmel would have killed Toothless. Therefore, we can say the same thing. Grimmel got what he wanted at one point.
But would he have though? Because if we're playing the what if game, we know for a fact the Armada wanted Toothless. And,
What if Hiccup still had his leg?
What if Hiccup still had his leg, too? How would that change things?
He would have died.
HC.
He would have died at the end because he wouldn't have been able to unclick it.
This is true.
Actually, on that note, if I may plug myself a bit, go to my Tumblr to see an analysis of that moment.
Nope. No.
This is my podcast. I can do whatever I want.
Nope.
You made Rush leave. I was just going to mute you, but Rush left.
I think he wanted to remove me, but...
No, I think it's harder to do.
Thank you. That's all for this episode of the Berkcast.
Well, thank God he's not recording. But anyway, Wolf has a point, but the thing is, Mildew sucks. So moving on.
I think you're just biased.
Great counter argument.
I
think you're both biased, and I should be the middleman here.
Okay. Then who's better, Rush?
I've heard both your arguments. Actually, I haven't because you've been talking over each other so much.
Can you stop preaching and get to the point?
I'm deciding. Let's see. What is the argument again? What am I trying to settle? Is it that Mildew does or doesn't suck? Because
our decider, ladies and gentlemen, the middleman at work.
Anyway, Wolf, you were saying?
Out of Mildew or Grimmel, who is better, Rush? So I've servered Def and HC real quick.
Argument.
I've servered Def and HC real quick. Rush, pick Mildew.
I know I'm going to.
Awkward silence.
All right, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, Sorry, responding to something real quick, word-wise. I was gonna say, uh, I gotta side with Wolf because his argument that, he gave a decent argument that, Mildew got a full fleshed out arc, and Grimmel just dies, man. But you also, one, you insulted the middleman, and two, you really did nothing more than just kind of say, no, but Grimmel is better. Like that. I didn't get much argument from you.
I gave my argument, but you hate me, so there's
Your
that.
argument, look, I am trying to be honest here, that your argument was just bad. Your counterpoints weren't
Okay, fair
anything
enough.
more than just yelling.
Being fair, right? Like, I do get it, Like, and I don't think Grimmel, again, putting Grimmel below Mildew isn't necessarily me saying Grimmel's a terrible villain. It's just, for me, for what I'm looking for, Mildew gave me more of that, right? And it's definitely weird to say that, Drago is...
Out loud? What I'm looking for, Mildew gave me more of.
Yeah. I was just going to ignore it, but sure.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, I mean, that works. That works well. I'll end on that. I'll go with that.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Exactly.
Mildew does it for me. Grimmel doesn't. That's all I'm saying.
Mildew fills the hole that you've been waiting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mildew has that. Mildew has a very thick beard. I think we can all agree on that.
Also as an old grumpy man, I can relate to Mildew more than Grimmel. That's all I'm saying. Grimmel doesn't feel like an old man. He looks old, but he doesn't feel like an old man doing all those flips and everything. What old man does that? Come on, act your age, Grimmel. Seriously.
Carl Fredricksen from Up.
No one cares. He doesn't do flips or anything. He's not flipping around. Get out of here. No. He travels around in a house that he made float with balloons. He's the definition of an old, lazy man, grumpy man.
Have you seen the movie?
Yes, I've seen the movie. He's not flipping around. He's not doing any jumps. He's not acrobatic.
He's using what?
He doesn't.
What?
See, I think you need to take a break.
Not once does he jump and do acrobatic flips around like Grimmel does in The Hidden World.
He's doing Omega rides with his wife.
But it's
all of the...
No.
It's...
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Moving on. HC's wrong. As usual.
Sure.
Gotta agree with him there, HC.
I have a strong dislike for the both of you right now. But anyway, let's see if maybe... Anyway... So, like we already said, Grimmel is single-handedly killed the entire Night Fury species, besides Toothless, before one of you says it. What do we think about this?
He also didn't kill Toothless's kids either.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, before they were born!
I don't see anything wrong with it, I suppose. Like, it's not...
Also, Toothless's kids are known as Nightlight. Fuck you both.
Fair enough.
Nice one, HC.
Like, it's kind of a moot point, I guess you would say, because it's not something that we don't really get to see or, or have any kind of basis on. We're just kind of told that's what he did. So... I guess is all I can say. Like, I don't hate it. I don't have any feeling towards it at all, I guess. Sorry.
Like, it's there and you're fine with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Rush, what do you think?
Sorry, we got so off track and I haven't... No, where are we in the script again?
Well, what do you think about the fact he single-handedly killed the entire Night Fury species? Or so
Good for
he
him.
says.
Does he want a cookie? I mean, what does he want to gain from that?
I mean,
they're all dead. Then what? He's just a lonely old man.
He wants a Night Fury cookie, Rush.
Well, if they're dead, he's not going to get any.
I know. That's the conundrum of Grimmel. That's
why he was destined to fail.
That's the conundrum of Grimmel. I kill all the Night Furies, but I want a Night Fury cookie. What do I do?
Cookies!
Die. You answered that one pretty easily.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's been all for the Berkcast.
Well, I didn't say my part, so allow me for a second to be there.
That's all for the Berkcast.
Shut the hell up.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
And also, this episode is not over.
Stopping recording.
I think your mic cutting out definitely told us that it was the end of the episode.
Well,
Right,
what do I
okay.
think? What do I think about the fact he killed all the Night Furies? Well, here's what I think. The idea in itself is, like I said, it's fine because again, it's an opposite Hiccup. It's what would have happened if Hiccup killed Toothless? I like that. Great. But at the same time, this one person annihilated an entire species. Besides one. So
Again, you have to remember we're taking his word on that. So
yeah, but at the same time, we don't
He
really
just
see
wants to
other
seem
Night.
cool.
At the same time, we don't really see other Night Furies, and also, considering the fact that the hunters are using it as like they tell them the Berg dragons are protected by Night Fury, and is like not possible. So it's not necessarily that I don't think it's something he tells in order to make himself look good. There is some truth to it. Now, if he's the one who necessarily twisted the knife on all of them, not sure. We probably had some people help him out on this.
or very much so, there could be others alive that they just don't
You know
know
what?
about.
I bet you somebody told Grimmel at a young age that when you hug somebody, you kill them. So he's hugged all the Night Furies. Happy ending. Until he dies.
Rush,
He
this is
didn't
how
get to
to
hug that last Night Fury.
Rush. This is how to turn a dragon, not the. But going back to what I
So you're
said.
cutting him.
But going back to what I said, I don't know. Isn't the idea that one person killed an entire species kind of out there in a sense? Unless Night Furies are very rare, and if we go,
Well, the more you kill them, the more rare they get.
This is true.
That's how it works.
Yeah. Obviously, there's that little fact, but think of it like this. Let's say there are not including Toothless. Let's say there are maybe 300 Night Furies running around the world, give or take. Did one person literally went out and killed 300 dragons just because?
I mean, that's not difficult. That's doable. It'd take you some time, sure, but that is a doable thing.
You see, with a can-do attitude, you can do anything.
This is true.
Just determination.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's but you say that, but at the same time, what stopped another random schmo in this universe from killing another Night Fury at the same time?
Because Grimmel believes he did, and they don't. Grimmel believes it, therefore it's true.
Okay, whatever.
It's hard to give you a straight, serious answer because, again, it's just something we're told. Like, I can sit here and tell you, again, I bring it up. As far as he knows, he's killed all of the Night Furies. He's killed the entire species, as far as he knows. Again, do we consider Grimmel a reliable source of information? There's
I trust that face and that hood.
I don't trust that face. It reminds me of Farquaad too much. But anyways.
Which, you say that, but at the same time, yeah, let's ignore the in-universe thing and kind of talk meta for a second. That's obviously what they intended to tell us. That he killed all the Night Furies.
Sure.
Like that's Din's intention because he put it in the script. That line is spoken by the voice actor and heard in the movie. So
that's generally how it works, HC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. If we weren't supposed to take his word, if it were just supposed to take his word for it that he did all this, that he killed all the Nine Furies, then this line wouldn't have been in the script. We were just told that he made it a personal vendetta to hunt them, and not necessarily that he killed all of them. And he's considering toothless. I need to finish what I started.
I mean, again, though, I can still buy it. I feel like I can still, like, if we're ignoring the kind of in-universe thing and we're going straight, like, with the, like, this is the intention. The intention was he did kill all of the Night Furies except for one. I can buy that. I can say, okay, yeah, that sounds, that feels and sounds believable. Like, that's doable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of it being true or not, he still has at least knowledge that he killed a lot of them, and it still gives the effect to in-universe. Your hiccup, you're like, you're not going to say, oh, he probably didn't kill every Night Fury. You're going to say, okay, regardless of him actually killing all Night Furies or a lot of them, he's dangerous. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I think the point is, like, this dude has been a danger to other dragons as well as other Night Furies, because we can see how he uses the Light Fury. You can see, I think the movie definitely gives us enough of an idea of Grimmel to believe that, okay, yeah, he probably did do this. He definitely is dangerous, and this helps prove that point. I would agree. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's true or not. What matters is that
Hiccup's not going to say, I'm calling your bluff.
Or actually, something?
Grimmel, Hiccup says, I'm calling your bluff. I don't believe it. Prove it. Grimmel opens up his vest to reveal a bunch of different Night Fury heads or something.
Yikes.
Shrunken Night Fury heads.
Shrunken Night Fury heads. There's hundreds hanging from...
I'm putting this
it's like, oh my gosh.
in chat because I can't say this out loud, but referencing Jay Baruchel's
oh dear.
And This Is the End.
Oh my god. What did I want to say actually? That today in HC gives people yeah, thanks for that note, Rush, by the way. But continuing the HC give fanfiction writers' ideas, I want to see Grimmel on the hunt for the Night Furies actually coming across someone who is hunting them as well. And somebody write a story about that. That could be really cool.
And how Grimmel kills them to continue to prove and point out that he's the only one who's killed all of the Night Furies.
There can only be one.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So with that said, I think we kind of summed everything up. Anything else to add on Grimmel before we close?
I think he's, a decent villain, a decent character, and there's, something there, but I don't think it sells itself as well as it maybe could.
Mm-hmm. So, with that said, that's been all for this episode. Berk, you enjoyed. What do you think about Grimmel? Favorite, least favorite moments? Do you agree with what we said? Do you not agree with what we said? You can tell us all about that in the comment section below. You can also tell us about this on our Twitter, where we're known as Berkcast with a capital B, capital C, and on our Tumblr known as Berkcast Team. All of us are also in the How to Train Your Dragon Valhalla Discord server. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Rush.
And I've been Wolf.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.